Good morning, everybody. If you're one of the many Torontonians still trying to get into the housing market, I know, right? You know, housing prices are surging at record levels. Well, listen to this. The average price of a detached home in Toronto is now $1.7 million. Here with tips on getting into the market, is it even possible? We welcome Realtor Rizwan Malik, who's looking sharp. How are you, Rizwan?
Good morning. Pleasure to be here. I'm well. How are you?
Listen, we need to talk about this because it's out of control. We have like New York City pricing happening here. Is it going to cool down at any time? Because we've been hearing for years that that bubble's going to burst, and it hasn't. So do you see this continuing, or will it lessen up this fall and winter?
You know, I got into the business about 15 years ago, got into the market 15 years ago, and I've heard about this bubble that's supposed to burst. And all I can say is this bubble has just been floating in the upward trajectory. Like, you know, the market is the market. And in terms of cooling off, I don't think that that's necessarily going to happen anytime soon.
Okay, so let's talk about it realistically. If somebody's saying, is it even possible for me to be a first-time homeowner in Toronto? Is it? Like, that was staggering. $1.7 million on average for a detached home.
Yeah, you know what? The thing is, you have to realize it's all about a stepping stone. So you enter the market, maybe you buy as a first-time buyer, you buy a one-bedroom or a studio condo just to get into the marketplace, right? So once you're in the market, you build long-term equity, you pay down your mortgage, and slowly, you build towards that detached home. I think being realistic with your expectations is how you'll get to that detached home eventually.
That's great. Yeah, you got to compromise, right? Because I know when we were looking, my husband was like, we got to get a fixer-upper. Fixer-uppers, everybody wants a turnkey, glossy, beautiful. You got to pay for that. A lot of people don't want to do the work. So is that another thing? Like, look at spaces that maybe aren't so pretty and then, you know, put like a fresh paint job or whatever it is, rip out the carpet, and it'll look much, much better, right? Make it more livable.
Well, to be honest, I think a fixer-upper will need a lot more than just paint and carpet.
Yeah.
And, you know, right now, coming out of the pandemic and like with all these supply chain issues, you probably don't necessarily want a fixer-upper. You know, one of the biggest things to get into the market right now, like I said, you have to have realistic expectations. So, you know, if you walk into a home and you hate the countertops, or you hate the color of the walls or the floors, or you hate the backsplash, that's stuff that can be changed over time.
Or we mentioned detached home. Maybe look at like the semi-detached home. Maybe it's bigger than you think. Maybe there isn't a parking spot, but you can manage. Maybe you can sell your car because there's a walking score and you can walk and bike to work, right? You got to think outside the box. Let's talk about that box, the condo box. What if someone's thinking, I'm looking for a condo? How do they tap into that market or break into that market?
I mean, again, with condominiums are like easy. Like, I live in a condo myself. It's great. You know, I go downstairs, I get into my car. I don't have to clear snow off my vehicle. Like, I don't have to worry about, like, I can lock the door and go on vacation. I can do whatever else. It's like super user friendly. But you're absolutely right. You know, like the first property, maybe it's not a detached home. It could be a condominium or a townhouse or something that's semi-detached, just to get your foot in the door.
Speaking of condos, people are terrified of condo fees. So what do they have to keep in mind when it comes to that? Because sometimes they'll catch you by surprise. It sounds like a great deal, but then those add up.
They do add up. And like one of the biggest things, like, you know, when I started 15 years ago selling real estate, and even today, one of the biggest misunderstood things are condo fees. So you have to understand, condo fees are not just an arbitrary amount that you're just paying per month. These are going towards paying your utilities. So whether it's your water, your gas, your hydro, in some cases your cable TV, the building insurance, these are all things that will work towards paying your expenses that you would have to pay out of your pocket anyways.
And a lot of people, are you noticing, Rizwan, they're going in on it together like the Golden Girls. You're too young to know that show, where it's like, let's live together and share this space because we want a nicer living space. Is that happening more and more where like friends are like, okay, want to be my roommate? Or, you know, a mother-daughter combo? Is that happening more and more? Let's share a space?
You know what? I mean, we've seen this all the time. Like people have, like, you know, they get roommates and they live in a condominium together, they share the common space. But eventually you have to realize, like, you know, not everybody is going to live the way that you live. So, you know, I personally, like, I love my space. I love my home. I could have a guest for like a day or two, but I don't necessarily want someone there 24/7 indefinitely, right? It's a lot to take on.
Yeah, you
so
gotta
you
think
know,
about it.
find what you can choose.
Okay, great tips. Thank you so much. Your real estate tips are as impeccable as your fashion. Love the blazer. At Rizwan Malik for more information. We'll be back with more BT. Have an amazing day.